Good evening and welcome to the NewsHour Agenda. Madhavdas GK. After a three-day debate on the no-confidence motion introduced by the opposition alliance, the Prime Minister responded today in the Lok Sabha and, as always, launched a searing attack on the opposition. The Prime Minister made it clear that politics is not the need of the hour, but rather that all parties must come together to heal the wounds of Manipur. He did not mince his words when it came to exactly why no one party alone can take onus for the situation in Manipur that it is in today, but instead has been let down by successive governments. Expressing his concern over the language being used by some in the opposition, the Prime Minister asserted that words used about Bharat Mata have hurt the entire nation. He also reminded the Congress party why they must also take responsibility for problems in the northeast today. Here is message to the opposition.
मां भारती के बारे में जो कहा गया है, उसने हर भारतीय की भावना को गहरी ठेस पहुंचाई। ऐसा हाल किसी का हो जाता है, सत्ता सुख के बिना जी नहीं सकते, और क्या क्या भाषा बोल रहे हैं नॉर्थ ईस्ट की इन समाज। और माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, आज भी मिजोरम में 5 मार्च को आज भी पूरा मिजोरम शोक मनाता है। उस दर्द को मिजोरम भूल नहीं पा रहा है कि अपने ही देश में वायुसेना से हमला करवाना, कौन था उस समय? इंदिरा गांधी।
But even before the Prime Minister could conclude his speech, the opposition eagerly was waiting for. In fact, many MPs from the INDA alliance staged a walkout. They demanded that the Prime Minister break his so-called silence on the Manipur issue, but did not even wait to hear his full speech when he spoke about it. Opposition believes that the Prime Minister only made a political speech and had nothing to do with healing the wounds of Manipur.
प्रधानमंत्री जी आज भी मणिपुर के मुद्दे पे नीरव रह गए, तो नीरव रहने के चलते मैंने सोचा कि नया नीरव मोदी को देखने में क्या फायदा, क्योंकि मोदी जी नीरव रहते हैं, तो इसलिए इनके बात सुनने में क्या फायदा होगी, क्या जरूरत क्या है, क्योंकि उनकी दरबारियों ने सारे बात कर चुके हैं। मोदी जी जिस बातों को दोहराते हैं, उनकी दरबारियों ने सारे कुछ कर चुके हैं।
My 3 questions remain unanswered. 1. Why hasn't the Prime Minister made any plans to go to Manipur? 2. Why hasn't the Prime Minister made any concrete statement on Manipur? He's only spoken for 30 seconds so far. And 3. Why hasn't he asked his Chief Minister to resign?
हमारी अपेक्षा थी कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री को हम सुनना चाहते थे, और बड़ी अपेक्षा से हम रुके हुए थे कि अभी नहीं तो आगे 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 वो कुछ इकोनॉमी के बारे में बोले, महंगाई के बारे में बोले, बेरोजगारी के बारे में बोले, नहीं तो मणिपुर के में विस्थापित पूरा बोले। हमारी अपेक्षा थी, इच्छा थी कि मणिपुर की बहनों के लिए बोले, जो अत्याचार हो से उसके खिलाफ बोले, लेकिन 1.5 घंटे में उसमें से 90% टाइम वो इंडिया पे बोले।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's take us across to our guest. With us is Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Dr. Anand Ranganathan is an author joining us. Rajat Sethi is an ex-advisor to the Manipur Chief Minister. Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party joins us, as is advocate Nikhil Jain, political analyst. But let me first and foremost go across to Dr. Riju Dutta, National Spokesperson of the TMC. Riju Dutta, the question that's being asked is that after going great lengths to get the Prime Minister to respond in the Parliament, and opposition has boycotted Parliament for over 2 weeks. Now, after that, the spectacle of all the opposition members flying to Manipur, meetings,
200 plus deaths, 6,000 plus houses burned, 60,000 plus people displaced living in camps. After 21 days absconding from the Parliament, the Prime Minister finally spoke, and in his 2-hour, 13-minute long speech, he spoke for Manipur for 4 minutes. In between that, when Manipur is burning, people are getting killed, women are getting raped, there were jokes, there was laughter, there were cheap pot shots at the opposition, and, small WhatsApp messages that were discussed on the parliamentary floor. Sometimes it was difficult to understand whether that was the floor of the Parliament or as the election campaign going on. So all in all, I believe that today what happened The country witnessed the Prime Minister's speech. It was nothing short of an unmitigated disaster filled with megalomania, and it is an absolute disgrace. And after
So the questions, do you believe that the questions that you asked the Prime Minister of Manipur were answered today or not? In one word, Riju Dutta, in one line, were the questions that you asked the Prime Minister of Manipur, were they answered today or not?
There were only 3 questions that were asked. That were only 3 questions that was asked of the Prime Minister. Why is Biren Singh not sacked? Why did the Prime Minister not visit Manipur? And why is peace not restored in Manipur? None of these questions are
3 questions were asked, Sanju
He
Verma.
just
Those
made
3
a
questions
statement
were not
that we are
answered, says
Manipur.
Riju
That's
Dutta.
all.
Please respond to him on those 3 points.
Madhav, first and foremost, I take strong objection to the absolutely and shamefully pathetic language used by the TMC spokesperson saying the Prime Minister was absconding. The level of public discourse has been completely vilified by TMC goons. And I'm not going to be kind, because if you abuse the Prime Minister, you should be ready to take the heat from the kitchen. Otherwise, don't get into the kitchen. Point number 2. Under Article 75, and I've said this ad nauseum, the Prime Minister is the head of the cabinet. Under the allocation of business rules of 1961, the Prime Minister chooses, and through his cabinet secretary, he decides how he will delineate work between his cabinet. And given the fact that Amit Shah is the man with the domain expertise by virtue of being the Home Minister, and in the Parliament on the floor of the House yesterday, he laid out the brass tacks, the nitty-gritties of what exactly the Modi government has done, including what triggered the violence after that March 27 judgment by the Manipur court, including the fact that 36,000 armed forces have been deployed there, including the fact that more than 50,000 people have been relocated to safe buffer zones, including the fact that more than 11,000 FIRs have been made and more than 14,898 arrests have been made, including the fact that he is consistently in touch with the warring factions, be it the Cookies, the Maitis, or whosoever is involved, to ensure that all stakeholders are involved in the peacemaking process. But
Right.
I have this to say to you, Madhav, give me 20 seconds, please. Modi nishana hai, Manipur sirf bahana hai. First they said Modi has spoken outside the parliament for 36 seconds. Now they said Modi has spoken only for 4 minutes. Modi spoke after 1.5 hours. Then they are saying we wanted a discussion under rule 267, but the government was willing only to have a discussion under rule 176.
I want Ghanshyam to come in on that.
If you look at it,
Okay,
they
Ghanshyam.
have been indulging in whataboutery and nothing
Okay,
else.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, you're shifting the goalpost constantly. Modi bahana hai. Modi nishana hai, Manipur bahana hai. Sorry. That's the statement of Sanju Verma. Please respond to that.
Good evening, Madhav, to you, my fellow co-panelists and the viewers. 3 things are important in this case. A mumbling, jumbling Prime Minister saw his leadership tumbling at a time when he should have just stood up and said some words with empathy that brought the nation together and said that together this democratic nation elected a Prime Minister who is powerful, who has majority in the parliament, will do the necessary steps to, 1, take accountability for what has happened, 2nd, to wipe out the tears, and 3, to send an all-party delegation to Manipur. None of that was accomplished. Instead, after nearly 75 minutes, when the mumbling, jumbling Prime Minister did not utter the word Manipur, the opposition walked out. And the BJP, throughout this is an occasion of sorrow for the entire nation, that Manipur is burning. But BJP MPs were either yawning when the Prime Minister was speaking, smiling, laughing, thumping, or cheering. How shameless can a party be when they are responsible for
I take strong objection.
I want to come in.
spraying this kerosene across the nation with their hate mind, and
Madhav,
responsible for what is happening in Manipur, that all BJP MPs did? Not a single message of solidarity from
No,
BJP.
he did say that. Let's be
leaders.
fair now, Ghanshyam. He said
Nor-
that there has to be a healing touch. We all have to use our words to heal the wounds in Manipur. And he said that we should all unanimously try and resolve issues. That was also part of his speech. So let's not be selective in our hearing of what the Prime Minister said. But I will take your point across to Rajat Sethi. Rajat, the one question that many are asking is of responsibility. And the questions that have been asked is of the state administration, whether it it is the police, whether it's the district administration, whether it's the chief minister, there are some very serious questions about acts of omission or commission that would have been committed, which led to this large-scale violence and some kind of a systemic breakdown. The question that the opposition therefore is asking, and not just Ghanshyam, but several in the opposition following the Prime Minister's speech, is why the Prime Minister was silent on that issue, or even of, say, visiting Manipur, for instance. Rajat.
Well, visiting Manipur is one issue which I think Prime Minister will have to find time to eventually see the conditions are conducive for him to travel. The Honorable Home Minister has clearly mentioned that he's on top of things. He's been having discussions around the clock, ensuring that whatever help is needed is brought to the state of Manipur. But please keep in mind, I mean, if the chief ministers or the state administration is suspended every time there is a law and order issue in the state, then half of the state governments and half of the ruling chief ministers would be sacked immediately. If that is the narrative, if that is the precedence that you want to establish.
No, but Rajat, not everywhere is there such ethnic violence happening on ethnic fault lines. Surely this is not another law and order situation. At the
end of the day,
and you would have heard what the Chief Justice also said, that comparing this to other states' law and order crises and crimes against women is unfair, because this is an ethnic angle. What is happening over here is vastly different what happens in other states. So is it really fair to say that every time we can't change the administrator or the chief minister?
Let me give you anecdotes. Manipur has had 5 genocides like situation in the past. Which chief minister was sacked in the state of Manipur? In Assam itself, we saw Nelly massacre. Was the state chief minister sacked then? Forget that. Pick up Gaurav Gogoi. His father, when he was ruling, an Adivasi woman of the Chai Bagan, she was stripped naked and paraded on the streets of Guwahati. Did Tarun Gogoi resign, or was he forced to resign? Forget that. Go to the Bodo crisis. More than 300 deaths happened in the Bodo Muslim riots. Tarun Gogoi, the 15-year chief minister, was supervising that. Was he sacked? Now, if you start picking up anecdotes in the Northeast, I can recount at least 25 anecdotes where mayhem has been unleashed in that state, in that region, but no accountability was fixed.
Okay.
Honorable Home Minister picked up these issues and said in the floor of the House that there have been incidents when merely a one-line submission from the MOS home was tabled on the Parliament. That's it. That was the level of interest.
Okay, I'm going to allow that point and let Riju Dutta respond to that. That's an important point. These are double standards on part of the opposition, says Rajat Sethi. There have been incidents of large-scale violence and there's been no accountability taken in other states of the Northeast as well. This is a hypocrisy, he is alleging. Please respond to that, Riju Dutta.
It takes a special kind of a person with special disabilities to go into whataboutery when we are talking about Manipur. So I will stick to Manipur. And my dearest Dr. Ranganathan is here, and I trust him in his answers. So I have 4 questions for your viewers and for the esteemed panel. Is Biren Singh a failure? Yes or no? Question number 1. Question number 2, when the Home Minister visited Manipur on 29th of May, when the incident that shook the world happened on 4th May, was he informed of the incident by the BJP Chief Minister? Yes or no? Answer is no. So the Home Minister, his intelligence and his BJP Chief Minister failed that day. So why should we trust him? Question number 3, did the Governor of Manipur and BJP Manipur MLAs, can I finish please? Here are the questions. Did the Governor of Manipur and the BJP MLAs from Manipur oppose N. Biren Singh, and they have verbally said on media that he has unleashed his militia on the other communities, the minority communities? And last but not the least, question number 4. In Himachal Pradesh, during elections for political manipulation, BJP changed 3 to 4 chief ministers. When there is such a crisis, such a humanitarian crisis as Manipur, why are you so defenseless that you cannot change one?
Okay, since you've taken the name of Dr. Ranganathan, I have to give him the first chance to rebut that. Sanju Verma, please allow him to rebut, since that question has been posed directly to Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan.
Yeah, good evening, Madhav. Let me be very honest here. I hope nobody else on this esteemed panel will be offended, but amongst the 6 of us, I have no hesitation in saying that there is one true expert, which is Rajat, because he's worked on the ground in Manipur. So whatever he says has to be taken with a degree of seriousness. Now, I want 3 very quick points to make. Number 1, the Prime Minister spoke eloquently, but more important than that, he spoke the truth today, which is why it is all the more befuddling that whatever he spoke today, he should have spoken 2 months ago. I have always held this line, and I don't know why he didn't. There should be some heads who advised him, perhaps wrongly, but they are as accountable as anybody else is, because I have always been saying he has the data on his side, barring the 2 months. Manipur has been as stable as it ever has been, especially more than what it was under the Congress. And when we talk about the last 2 months, we have to talk about the truth and the facts, which Mr. Amit Shah talked more openly than the Prime Minister today. Because the fact of the matter is, it is the High Court judgment that has actually, I don't know whether the exact phrase that Mr. Amit Shah used, added fuel to fire or whatever he used it, but that's the fact of the matter. Now, do we know the truth behind it? Away from the Aizawl bombing of 66 and whatever Prime Minister. The truth is, Madhav, let me tell you in 30 seconds. In 2013, under the UPA central government demanded from the then Manipur Congress government, and Rajat can back me on this. Tell us, what is the status? Is the ST status to be given to the Meiteis who've been demanding it since independence? 5 years passed. The Congress government did nothing in the state. The government at the center changed. The BJP also did nothing. The state did not answer the center. Then stepped in the High Court 2 months ago. All it did was, it asked, again, the state government, what is your position on demanding the ST thing that the Meiteis are?
Right.
That is all what has happened. Why are people so squeamish about telling this as the truth? Do they not want to blame the judiciary? This is the problem in this country. You can blame BJP, you can blame Modi, you can blame anyone. But you will not blame because you're worried about contempt.
Nikhil Jain, is that a fact? Is that the fact that, as Dr. Ranganathan says, that, people are scared about talking about the role of the judiciary in this particular case? But also, let me add the historical context which the Prime Minister spoke about. He spoke about, Bharat Mata being murdered. This is what Rahul Gandhi said. And the Prime Minister said that this is a statement that has, pained a lot of people in India. And he has given examples of Kachativu. He has given an example of Air Force bombing of Mizoram in 66. He's talked about the invasion of Assam in 62 and the then Prime Minister's response, and a number of such incidents where the actual murder or dismemberment of Bharat Mata happened. That is what the Prime Minister specifically said. Your response to that, Nikhil Jain, to both these questions?
So, Madhav, I personally feel that the Bharatiya Janata Party should rename themselves as the Bharatiya Whataboutery Party. The Prime Minister was on the floor of the House today because a no-confidence motion was moved against him, and the 26 opposition parties, the India Alliance, had sought from the Prime Minister accountability and responsibility on the issue of Manipur. And right now, people in the BJP and those supporting the BJP are very cavalierly somebody is calling it as just another law and order issue. Dr. Ranganathan just said that except those 2 months, everything was fine. So if I murder somebody today, am I going to go out and say, I have been a nice man, except the one murder that I did? The fact is that Manipur has been burning for the past 3 months. It has shocked the country. The kind of incidents that are happening in Manipur, even the Chief Justice of India has taken cognizance of that. The world has taken cognizance of that. The people of India have taken cognizance of that. But the Prime Minister, except rhetoric and except trying to use this no-confidence motion as well, like a political rally speech, the Prime Minister had no words on Manipur. 4 minutes that he's spoken. What has he spoken? That I have a healing touch. Manipur will be all right. What are the steps that his government has taken? A unified command has existed, a unified security command has existed in Manipur since May. That is directly under the control of the central government, under Prime Minister Modi. What has that unified command been doing? Okay. And let's not just talk about...
My name was taken, so please give me 20 seconds.
Many hands going up,
one of the things that the BJP tries to pull out of its hat when talking about Manipur is that Manipur it's an ethnic conflict between two tribes, and Congress somehow started it. First of all, I don't understand this fascination of somehow going to Prime Minister Nehru and Congress and the earlier years. The fact is, let's for a moment assume that the Congress was wrong and this bombing happened or that thing wrong happened.
But there are historical problems. There are legacy issues as well. It's not such a simple issue because there are legacy issues. Of course, there can be questions about the handling. They can be.
But the fact of the matter is that we don't have a Prime Minister from Congress or the Chief Minister of Manipur from Congress. Who do we ask to resign?
Anand Ranganathan wants to respond to you. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, yes.
Yes, my good friend Nikhil, please do not misquote me. I said, barring the 2 months and the recent eruption of very tragic, condemnable violence, Manipur has been more stable than it has ever been. The data is on my side. Otherwise, I challenge you to tell me how many districts were under ASPA during the UPA and during the NDA. You tell me. It's a fact. I'm not saying. And, let us unite and combat this violence together. Talking of which, Why is it that Bharat Mata is murdered only in Manipur when terrible incidents happen and everyone condemns it? What happens to Bharat Mata when a woman is gang raped in Rajasthan? The police refuses to act. The woman jumps in the well. The father hangs himself. What happens to Bharat Mata then? Is she not murdered there? Is Bharat Mata not murdered in Punjab when a woman is gang raped and the police does not act for 6 months and the police station is almost taken over by the protesters, and then the police realizes that it has actually let the perpetrator fly away? Why are you talking about whataboutery when it explains your hypocrisy? Why were you silent when Bharat Mata is murdered in all non-BJP states, Nikhil? Do they not matter to you? Is that not Bharat Mata to you?
Dr. Ranganathan, what you are doing right now is the very precise definition of whataboutery. If some wrong incident happens in a state that is not ruled by the BJP, of course people should raise their voice against it. Of course all political parties should talk about it. But what is happening in Manipur and the statement that was made by Rahul Gandhi that Bharat Mata ki mrityu hui hai Manipur mein, that was a figurative statement. But what the BJP is now trying to do is they're trying to twist it, they're trying to paint it as the Congress or Rahul Gandhi wants the murder of India, and that is the kind of pedestrian politics that the BJP is playing.
All right.
One man.
All right. Let me just come in. Of course, in fact, some of those comments made have already been expunged by the Parliament Secretariat, in fact, the Lok Sabha Secretariat. But I want to ask two questions of Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, I'm just going to read out two quotes of two members of Parliament who attended that particular session and heard the Prime Minister. Two questions that Gaurav Gogoi asked. One is that no mention of the Prime Minister visiting Manipur in his speech. Harsimrat Kaur Badal says that there's no point talking about Sabka Saath. If the PM is with them, then what steps were taken? Two very pointed questions coming in from two opposition MPs who were very much in the Lok Sabha. Your response to these two questions?
Madhav, let me be very clear. I have never shied away from calling a spade, and I've said this on a zillion debates on your channel, that things are not hunky-dory in Manipur, but the opposition has no bona fide right or the political high ground to even demand N. Biren Singh's resignation, and I'm speaking about it because this has been the fulcrum around which the opposition has been raising a lot of stink. If you recall, Madhav, on the floor of the House, when Amit Shah was pointedly asked why N. Biren Singh is not being sacked, he said because he is cooperating, he's following constitutional provisions, and as long as he is cooperating with the central government, there is no reason to apply Article 356. And I will just say this, that under the Vajpayee dispensation and in the last 9 years of Narendra Modi, if you look at Article 356, together under the BJP-led NDA, it has been imposed only on 9 occasions, whereas the Congress-led UPA imposed it 7 times under Nehru, 6 times under Rajiv Gandhi, 49 times under Indira Gandhi, 10 times under Manmohan Singh, 11 times under P.V. Narasimha Rao. 1 minute. So basically 83 occasions when the Congress generously imposed Article 356, and it has no political high ground to now lecture the BJP on democracy. But give me 20 seconds, Madhav. Ghanshyam Tiwari uses this platform to routinely abuse the Prime Minister. So Mr. Tiwari, please listen. Your leader Akhilesh Yadav in 2014, when a reporter questioned him on the horrific gang rape in Badaun, what did he tell the reporter? Aap to theek hai na, aapke saath to kuch nahi hua na, as long as you are right. He basically wanted to say, why the hell are you questioning me? And 10 seconds more, Madhav, because this is a panel which is lopsided. Just 10 seconds more.
Let's stick to Northeast and Manipur, please. My request to you, because now if we start this, then everyone will bring out controversial comments by other leaders. Please, let's not do this. Let's not do this, Sanju Verma. I mean, no one is saying that, acts against women or these kind of comments, casual comments are justified. But let us please stick to the subject at hand, which is the Prime Minister and what has happened in Manipur. My appeal to you, please. But I have a question, and I want Ghanshyam to respond to that point that you made. And I have a simple question for Ghanshyam Tiwari. Ghanshyam Tiwari, Ram Manohar Lohia, undoubtedly a guiding light for your party and a significant leader for this country. Would you agree with that statement of mine?
Absolutely.
So you heard what the Prime Minister said, that it was Ram Manohar Lohia who said that Nehru did not want development in the Northeast, and that's the Congress didn't care for Northeast as it is numerically weak. This is a statement that the Prime Minister has made, quoting Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia. Do you agree with the Prime Minister's statement and what Mr. Lohia said in that context?
Has Nehru stopped the Prime Minister from showing empathy, do the healing touch, visiting Manipur? And when the Prime Minister backs N. Biren Singh, when Amit Shah backs N. Biren Singh, let us not forget some chronology. That The cookie militant outfit supported BJP. It was a complaint
doubt.
made to CEC.
No doubt. But you agree with the Prime Minister on this?
Just a second.
You agree with the Prime Minister, yes or no? Simple question, sir. Very simple question. Yes or no?
Two sentences.
No, whataboutery, you can accuse the BJP of doing whataboutery, but then there is also the other side of whataboutery, sir.
Just last year, allow me 2 sentences. Just last year, the Prime Minister went to Manipur in the polls and said, I have a plan for 25 years of peace and prosperity of Manipur. But Amit Shah in Parliament says that the entire incident that began in May is a result of things that began in 2021. And in the middle of this, BJP sought support of militants. One, their own MLAs.
On what basis are you saying that?
We do not believe in N. Biren Singh.
On what basis are you saying that? Please back up that claim.
Hand in glove.
Please back up that claim, Mr. Tiwari. That's a very serious charge you are leveling against a party which is ruling at the centre. On what basis are you saying that?
This is in public domain. The CEC has been complained. Economic Times has reported. Times of India has reported. Just look at the last 2 years of coverage on BJP.
I want Rajat to respond to that because Rajat is an authority on Manipur and has been observing the happenings there very closely. Rajat Sethi, is there anything to prove what Ghanshyam Tiwari is saying is in the public domain or is factually accurate? Rajat.
Final point. Just one point.
Yeah, no, Ghanshyam, let's just clarify this because this is a very serious point you're making. Let's just clarify the fact. I'll come back to you. Rajat.
Just one point. From BJP MLAs to the public domain knowledge that Biren Singh is part of the militia. That's the allegation. He's part of the militia or has sponsored the militia.
That's a charge that Gaurav Gogoi has also made. He has accused, he has made some charges of being associated with the drug mafia, so on and so forth. Let's get my response, sir. You can respond to Rajat Sethi. Let him come in. Rajat.
I will not get into political rhetoric, but I'll give you very, very specific answers to things that have been there, part of history, part of the character of Manipur. Mizoram also, the current sitting chief minister, Mr. Zoramthanga, was a former, insurgent. He was trained by the ISI, Pakistani ISI inside Pakistan. He's today serving because he laid down arms. He gave up arms, joined the peace process and became duly elected chief minister. That's the history of Mr. Zoramthanga, if you know. Another point, come to Manipur. There have been cookie people who have been under SU arrangement, which is suspension of operations pact with the central government and the state government. Thereafter, there has been a steady mainstreaming of cookie leaders. Most of the cookie leaders that BJP today has were part of the Congress regime for the past 15 years. So if you are accusing the BJP, the same number of people were inside the Congress party as well. So please understand, cookie leadership in the state of Manipur has largely aligned with the central government so that this SU arrangement can be amicably resolved. These are the practicalities of that state. You might want to ignore it because of your politics. I don't care. That's the fact. Another point on Gaurav Gogoi's position. Gaurav Gogoi said that Desh one India banane chale the, do Manipur bana diya. Does Gaurav Gogoi even know that because of the advice from his father, Mr. Tarun Gogoi, an Article 371 ABC, you know, we all know about Article 370 and how it created divisions between Jammu and Kashmir and India. Similarly, Article 371 was there. Special provisions were created and a state within a state was created by the provisions of Article 371C, which said that a hill area committee, which will have its own financial authority and jurisdictional authorities, will reside inside the Manipur Assembly.
Okay, important question. Important question. There are states within states being created, the mistakes of Jammu and Kashmir being repeated in the Northeast. A very strong charge coming in from Rajat. Respond to that, Nikhil Jain. Respond to him. Respond to Rajat.
First of all, let me remind Rajat that the Home Minister of the country, Amit Shah himself, had said that we are not going to touch Article 371. So if he is blaming Gaurav Gogoi's father for ever having that article in the first place, let him also blame Amit Shah for saying that we are not going to touch it, number one. Number two, there is nothing wrong in asymmetrical federalism in the country. There are different union territories, there are different states, and there are special provisions for multiple states. It's often Jammu and Kashmir and Article 370 that is talked about. But let me remind your viewers, Madhav, that Gujarat, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Manipur and multiple other states of the country have special constitutional provisions for them. So far as the land issue that the BJP likes to rake up, that nobody can buy land in those states, that also exists in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand and pretty much every hill state that there is in the country.
Okay.
What the Congress is saying about creation of two Manipurs within Manipur is the creation of a buffer zone between the hills and the valley that has 36,000 parameters.
Nothing unusual about these laws, says Nikhil. Rajat, I want you to respond.
No. See, this is a very myopic understanding of that region. First, you need to go live there, understand why was this put in place. Was it the best possible solution? Similarly, an ILP, an inner line permit demand was there, pending for so many years. It was created. You need to understand that there are various small communities out there. You need to provide special protection to each of them.
Okay.
Why certain designs worked well, certain designs did not work well.
All right.
We are talking about dividing the state into two. Those were created by certain constitutional provisions under Nehru and Indira Gandhi. That's what is the part of history.
All right,
An
gentlemen, we can
undeniable
debate
fact.
this all
You
night.
cannot
The larger
ignore that.
question is whether the wounds that have been created in Manipur will heal now. There was, of course, a demand by opposition, and perhaps justifiably so, an attempt at putting the government on the mat and seeking a response from the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has now spoken in the Lok Sabha. Will the politics over Manipur continue, or is this issue settled for now? Will we be seeing more in terms of accountability being taken and accountability being fixed in Manipur? That's also a very important question. The wounds have to heal. The violence certainly has to come down. The Home Minister yesterday informed the House that there's been a steady decline, but certainly it is for all political parties to ensure that the situation now does not go out of hand. On that note, I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us. In fact, Rajat Sethi, Advocate Nikhil Jain, Riju Dutta and Ghanshyam Tiwari, thanks so much for joining us. Sanju Verma and Dr. Anand Ranganathan stay with us for the next debate.